The King's Avatar, Chapter 1237 Thunderclaps Focus, Audio Source, WurshaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1237, Thunderclaps Focus Translator, Nomyami Editor, Nomyami. The older generation really is. Dai Yankee was also dumbstruck. She had already put her guard up. Who would have thought that Happy would turn away so decisively just because of the words she said? This sort of reason wasn't logical. But the problem was that it truly happened, and Dai Yankee couldn't help but feel a bit afraid. She hadn't ruined her own team's rhythm, right? Concentrate. Defend your position well and get back on track. Seo Shichin messaged the team chat. Seeing the captain's words, Dai Yankee seemed to have been hit by a tranquilizer and calmed down. Soon afterwards, her elementalist Firebird messenger hurried forward. Be careful of them switching targets, Seo Shichin added. Switching targets? Dai Yankee was a bit surprised. The crowd was in an even more of an uproar, because just when Seo Shichin typed out those words, Yizhu had typed in Happy's team chat, turn. All of Happy suddenly turned around and switched back to Dai Yankee's Firebird messenger. Their shift towards Seo Shichin had been a bait. Unfortunately, Seo Shichin saw through their little trick and promptly warned Dai Yankee not to cut in too deep. Dai Yankee had originally readied a teleport, and the moment she paused because of the warning, she saw Happy suddenly turn around and rush towards her. How crafty. Dai Yankee wasn't a chatterbox, but she was among those who liked to talk in matches. As she grumbled, Firebird Messenger quickly retreated. Her staff flashed with lightning and a lightning bolt shot out. It was the very first attack in this team battle. Lightning spells were fast, but in the end, it wasn't as immediate as firing a bullet. It only took the blink of an eye for elemental power to condense into electricity, but it still took some time, enough to react to. To pro players, a window for reacting in a close enough distance to complete the necessary action was more than enough. Firebird Messenger's lightning bolt pierced through Happy's formation, but it didn't hit anyone. Following afterwards, Dai Yankee had Firebird Messenger activate Absolute Focus and cast the level 75 skill, Firebird. A firebird formed at the tip of her staff and flew out with its wings spread. The heat wave swept over the grasslands, wilting the once tall and straight stalks of green grass. Stalk after stalk bent over to half the size of their surrounding friends. Compared to Lightning Bolt, the area covered by Firebird was much larger, so Happy could not just open a path for the spell to pass by. Since it was no longer possible to maintain their formation, Happy split up to the left and right. As the Firebird flew, the heat waves blurred their figures. From the rear, sounds of machinery turning could be heard. They hadn't targeted Seo Shichin. Instead, it was Seo Shichin's life extinguisher who took the initiative to look for them. The knee-high grass hid lots of the ground machines. Happy could only see rustles from wherever the machines passed by, but they didn't know what exactly was hidden in the grass. Firebird Messenger retreated as Life Extinguisher advanced. But Firebird Messenger didn't back away too hard, and Life Extinguisher didn't advance too fiercely either. They seemed to be intentionally leaving Happy some space. These two long-range classes carefully controlled the distance, maintaining a certain gap between them. The unknown machines traversing along the ground were getting nearer and nearer from multiple directions, arriving at different times. Landmine quake. Fang Rui's Boundless Sea leaped into the air and slammed his two hands towards the ground. A wave of formless and colorless chi could be seen from its effects on the grass as it spread out towards the surroundings with Boundless Sea at the center. Boom 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 boom. When the rustling grass and the grass wave collided, fire and light exploded into the air, creating a plume of smoke. Fang Rui had timed it well. He didn't care what the machines were and simply let out a landquake mine to destroy them. But those weren't all of them. Who knew how many machines Xiao Shichen had put into this wave? There were still 3 rustles in the grass. Perhaps they hadn't arrived yet, or perhaps Xiao Shichen had maneuvered them away, but either way, they had avoided Boundless Sea's earthquake and started charging towards Happy again. Chi bullet. Boundless Sea punched in the direction of a rustle. However, Chi bullet's flight speed was nothing worth noting. The mechanical tool sped up and easily evaded it. Bang! Bang! Lord Grem's myriad manifestations umbrella transformed into its gun form and fired twice. But under the cover of the grass, it was difficult to get a good aim. After 2 shots, the rustling was still there. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Su Mucheng saw that Lord Grim's few shots didn't hit, so she had Dancing Rain use Gatling gun. The stream of bullets chased after the rustling grass in a line, finally shooting it into a smoke and fire. Su Mucheng didn't stop. While her skill was still in effect, she immediately switched to a different direction. However, Xiao Shichen was clearly wary of Happy catching him all in one fell swoop. He had all 3 of his machines move along paths far from each other. Even though Su Mucheng quickly switched directions, she didn't have much time left on her skill. After a few bullets, her Gatling gun stopped. However, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Lord Grim's Gatling gun fired. His attack path followed along Dancing Rain's previous path. If you didn't look at the starting points of the bullets, it was practically impossible to tell that this attack had actually been done by 2 people. Boom! The machine on that path exploded. When Lord Grim turned his guns, he still had half of Gatling gun's duration left. Bullets chased after the last remaining mechanical tool, but who would have thought that it wouldn't be enough? Everyone could clearly see that the bullets landed on the right patch of grass, but the mechanical tool seemed to be perfectly fine. Mechanical tools weren't like summon creatures with health. They would go boom with just a knock. A bullet hitting, let alone multiple, was enough. The only explanation was that it didn't hit, but the bullets clearly landed on it, unless Yishu suddenly reacted, but it was too late. A patch of grass rustled in front of them, and then something suddenly leaped up out of the grass. This wasn't a mechanical tool that traversed on the ground. It was an aerial airdrop. However, Xiao Shichen had it fly extremely low so that it would be covered by the grass. But because it wasn't touching the ground, Yishu's previous attacks missed because of the slight deviation in position. At this moment, airdrop was suddenly in front of them. Its stomach opened up and was just about to drop some bombs. Boom! The airdrop suddenly exploded before it could drop any bombs. Amidst the black smoke, a white flame could clearly be seen. Sacred fire. Prediction and timing were in Wenyi's strengths. At the most crucial moment, a calm sacred fire blocked the airdrop. The crowd applauded. This wave of machines had happened in just a few short seconds. All of Team Happy had worked together to intercept these machines. WuxRWorldAudio.com. Their teamwork had been beautiful. Pay attention. The other side's assassin has disappeared. Fang Rui typed in the chat. Fang Zuke's assassin demon talent had been between Xiao Shichen's life extinguisher and Cheng Tai's shattering wind, but he was now nowhere to be seen. Was he crawling through the grass, or was he using the thief's skill on his weapon, stealth? Yishu and the others started searching the grass. No matter which option he had chosen, any movement in the grass would leave behind a trace. The grass was only knee-high. The mechanical tools could hide there quite cleanly, but it wasn't so easy to hide an adult. Demon talent was gone right now, but Dai Yankees and Xiao Shichen's pincer was still ongoing. While Happy was busy cleaning up life extinguishers machines, Firebird Messenger took the opportunity to cast 2 high-level spells. Without trying to make any predictions, Lightning and Fire AoE spells were cast directly above Happy's heads. From the looks of it, she wasn't trying to stop Happy from advancing, but trying to blast Happy's formation apart. A pincer from the front and rear. An assassin gone without a trace. Gentai's grappler, Shattering Wind, was the closest to Happy. He was constantly moving, and even though he had yet to make an attack, his presence alone gave them quite a bit of pressure. Happy had to dodge the attacks from the front and rear, while also making sure they weren't grabbed by Shattering Wind. If a grappler grabbed them, the formation would certainly fall apart. Shattering Wind was moving around, looking for an opening. As Happy dodged, they also tried to see if they could swallow up Shattering Wind. However, Thunderclap had Seo Shichen watching over. His judgment towards tactics was clear and precise. Only the crowd knew just how dense Thunderclap's chat was. The density of messages was not lower than that of their match against Blue Rain. Was Seo Shichen planning on using these varied and complex tactics to outpace Happy? However, Happy's leader was Yishu, not Yu Wenzu. Their tactical skill was the same, but in terms of hand speed, if you said Yishu was superior to Yu Wenzu, then even Yu Wenzu's most loyal fans could only concede tearfully. Why? Why did Thunderclap need to make things so complicated? Seo Shichen made numerous commands, and every player's movements and attack rhythms were constantly changing. Not only were they adjusting according to Seo Shichen's instructions, but they had their own plans too. Thunderclap had clearly prepared this set of tactics. What exactly is this? I get it. Li Yibo suddenly shouted. His skill level was still far higher than the average players. He saw through Thunderclap's tactical intentions first. But right after he yelled it out, he immediately felt regret. He was exposing himself too much. Why am I so overjoyed? I should be calmly explain the thought behind Thunderclap's tactics. That would have made me look even more knowledgeable. Unfortunately, the deed had been done. Pan Lin helped lead him in. Coach Lee, are you seen through Thunderclap's intentions? Ha, I had a feeling earlier, but now I'm certain. Thunderclap is doing exactly what I had thought. Li Yibo said mysteriously. Please guide us, Coach Lee. Quote, how could Pan Lin not know of Li Yibo's cunning plot? In his heart, he was looking down on him, but out loud, he had to praise him. Thunderclap's strategy is similar to their one against Blue Rain with lots of variations. But when facing Blue Rain, they were mainly focused on varying and adjusting their tactics. Right now, they're more focused on their attack positioning and variation in rhythm. The purpose is the same. They're targeting a certain player on the opposing team. Against Blue Rain, their target was Yu Wenzu. If Yu Wenzu is unable to give out enough commands on time, Blue Rain would have trouble keeping up with Thunderclap's fast-changing tactics. Against Happy, their target is Wenyi, Happy's healer. Li Yibo said with certainty. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1238. Symbol for a healer. Audio source. WurshaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1238. Symbol for a healer. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Happy's healer, Wenyi. Li Yibo spoke with power and resonance, but since this was a live broadcast, he probably didn't know how many boos came his way when he said these words. Happy's weak point was Wenyi. We don't need you to say that. Who doesn't know it? Yes, everyone knew, including Pan Lin. He hadn't thought that Li Yibo's secret ace would be such an obvious answer. After staring blankly for a few seconds, he finally followed up. Yeah, Wenyi really is Happy's weak point. Yes, Li Yibo was still smiling confidently. Everyone knows this, but who among Happy's previous opponents fully took advantage of this weakness? Pan Lin was stunned again. He could hear that Li Yibo's words had substance to them, and he subconsciously started thinking about Li Yibo's question. Had any of Happy's previous opponents specifically created a plan to target An Wenyi? We won't talk about matches too far in the past. Let's take a look at the two rather strong teams that Happy had faced in their recent win streak, Misty Rain and Void. Our friends who have watched Happy's matches against these two teams recall Happy's performances in the team competition. Li Yibo betrayed the key points in his analysis. Happy's performances in those two matches. Pan Lin echoed as he pondered in his mind. His perception was quite a bit higher than the average players. After thinking about it for a bit, he found out that he truly wasn't able to find anything. In Misty Rain's match, Happy utilized the terrain to set up their formation. At that time, An Wenyi's little cold hands hid behind that big rock. Misty Rain didn't have the conditions to launch any attacks directly towards him, Li Yibo answered. Pan Lin completely remembered now. In Void's match, Happy switched out their cleric to get into position faster. By the time An Wenyi went onto the field, Void only had 4 players remaining, and Happy's victory had pretty much been decided at that point. For those interested, we can go even farther back. In their match against 100 Blossoms, even in the Challenger League finals against Excellent Era, these matches against strong opponents give us an even clearer picture. Right, Pan Lin completely understood what Li Yibo wanted to say. Happy's tactics seem similar to Thunderclaps in the sense that they're always targeting a certain person. However, Happy's tactics are always built off a foundation, protecting their weak point, An Wenyi. In every match, they will always try their best to end the battle without there being too great of a burden on An Wenyi, Li Yibo said. Xiao Shichen has completely seen through this point, so in this match, he's taken the initiative to strike preemptively at Happy's tactical framework. He doesn't plan on letting Happy set up a situation easy for An Wenyi, Pan Lin said. Yes, so that's why their offensive rhythm is constantly changing. For a healer, grasping the opponent's offensive rhythm is extremely important. A healer needs to pay attention to any possible dangers, sometimes even needing to predict a crit AEAD of time, in order to prepare a long cast time heal in advance. Does Happy's An Wenyi have the ability to deal with such a hurried situation? Li Yibo said. The broadcast team coordinated with him and cut to An Wenyi's point of view. His screen was shifting around extremely chaotically. Sure enough, the situation was just as Li Yibo said. Before a healer healed, the first thing that needed to be done was to figure out who needed to be healed, which meant that the healer couldn't solely pay attention to his opponents. The healer needed to look at the overall situation from time to time. However, Xiao Shichen had set it up such that the battle was spread out all around. And Wenyi could not simply look in one direction to observe the battlefield. He had to look towards one side and then look towards a different side from time to time. Along with Thunderclap's constantly changing rhythm, his inability to keep up and his confusion was completely exposed by the cameras. The broadcast and the crowd's electronic screens aptly showed the health bars of the two teams. This sort of image was usually shown to let the viewers know which side's healer was controlling the field well. A good healer would keep his teammates' health above a certain safe line at all times. The health bars would leap up and down like musical notes. But the health bars of Happy's characters were a complete mess. It was like he was banging around clumsily without any vision. No one could tell what An Wenyi's safe line was. Without a safe line, it wasn't possible to heal dependably. Happy's stadium was quiet. An Wenyi was Happy's weak point. This had been known since the very beginning, but up until now, it had never been fully exposed because every time the team lost, it didn't look like Wenyi was dragging down the team. But when Li Yibo gave his analysis, everyone discovered that though Wenyi didn't drag down the team in Happy's losses, he didn't contribute too much in their wins either. Wenyi's role in Happy seemed to just be a symbol, letting the opponents know, we have a healer. Had Happy ever used any tactics that relied on their healer? Never. Even though Wenyi had his moments of brilliance, he had always played under relatively safe conditions that Happy had set up for him. But in this round against Thunderclap, Seo Shichen didn't give them an opportunity to set up to these conditions. These multi-directional and constantly changing attacks forced out Happy's weakness. In a team battle, if the healer could not keep up, the entire team would suffer. Thunderclap's attacks weren't focused on any one person. They frequently changed targets, forcing Wenyi to constantly search for their focuses, pressuring him into making more mistakes. Happy wasn't rooted yet. Their team still had Yishu and Yishu's Lord Grim. The unspecialized had limited healing capabilities, but it was better than nothing. These heals might be enough for crucial saves, but relying on Lord Grim to keep up to the entire team's health was impossible. What are they going to do? This was Happy's home stadium, so the crowd was obviously worried for Happy. Thunderclap couldn't be too relaxed either though. Maintain this sort of battle tempo without making mistakes was not an easy task. Keep this up. Quote, from time to time, Seo Shichen would give encouraging words to boost the team's morale. Thunderclap's offense was maintained extremely well. No matter how amazing a team's tactics was, if the team couldn't carry it out, then it was pointless. And in terms of execution, Thunderclap's players were second to none. This team had always relied on tactics to beat stronger teams. The team's players were very accomplished at tactics, even more so under Seo Shichen's guidance. They understood his commands very quickly and executed them smoothly. Happy's in trouble. Li Yibo was already announcing it. Let's see if they've got a way out. Pan Lin said. Thunderclap is utilizing the map extremely well. I nearly forgot who chose the map. Li Yibo chuckled. I'm sure Happy chose this map for a reason. Pan Lin chose his words carefully because he had a premonition that as soon as he came out and announced Happy's demise, he would definitely be slapped in the face. Li Yibo could feel Pan Lin's cautiousness and laughed. What could Happy do in this situation? No matter which direction you rush towards, you won't be able to escape from battle. Thunderclap doesn't need to trap you here. As long as they can continuously harass you and can stop your healer from being effective, this harassment is equivalent to damage. And enough damage means that it's their win. In addition, Thunderclap's leader is Seo Shichen. With him watching over, what tactical intents could be hidden from him? Cheng, pressure with triangular movement. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Die, turn 30 degrees. Fang, move back. Commands continued to be given as Happy wasn't just sitting there letting Wenyi deal with the pressure himself. However, their intentions were always seen through by Seo Shichen, who would promptly respond and stop Happy from escaping this situation. Fuck. Bullying the rookie, you call that skill? Fang Rui complained in the public chat. Keep pressuring them. Fang, move a little towards my location. Seo Shichen was unmoved. In a match, there was no such thing as trash talk only for the purpose of complaining. The words that jumped onto the screen always contained a message, which would automatically be read by the eyes. This sort of small distraction could lead to an unconscious change in emotions and ultimately, a mistake. Seo Shichen wouldn't be affected by it though. As soon as Fang Rui said these words, his first thought was that the opponents would be making a move soon, so he immediately warned his team to be wary. Sky-piercing strike. After Fang Rui's grumble, Boundless Sea pushed out a blast of qi. The qi swept past the grass directly towards Life Extinguisher. Laser beam. Sumo Chung's dancing rain immediately added to Boundless Sea's attack with a laser beam. But their coordination was a bit offbeat, so the effects weren't the most optimal. Xiao Shichen's Life Extinguisher easily dodged it. However, his line of sight left that area for a short moment. Chaotic rain. At this moment, greenish-purplish raindrops suddenly poured down. It was chaotic rain summoned by a warlock. Oh, so those attacks were cover for chaotic rain. Then, they plan on using chaotic rain's AoE to attack. In that case, we need to. Xiao Shichen thought and prepared to give another order. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy was missing a person. The missing person was Lord Grimm. Where's Lord Grimm? Xiao Shichen hastily asked in the chat. Did he disappear from view while I was dodging those attacks? Even if I didn't see him, my other teammates should have, right? Ah. His teammates all gasped in surprise. No one saw. Xiao Shichen didn't ask further. Everyone's was clear enough. Had there been a blind spot in everyone's field of view at that instant? Was that a coincidence, or had it been set up? Xiao Shichen reflected on this question. If it was the latter, then Happy's plan was currently being set in motion. Yishu's Lord Grimm was hiding in the grass. What was he planning on doing? Cheng, approach and search. Fang, support him. Xiao Shichen immediately ordered. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1239. Hoist by your own petard. Audio source. wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1239. Hoist by your own petard. Translator. Nomyami. Editor. Nomyami. Thunderclaps. Two close-ranged classes rushed forward. Xiao Shichen didn't even blink as he looked around. But Thunderclap's attack formation didn't weaken because of this though, and Xiao Shichen didn't neglect his shot calling. Happy might just be purposely trying to confuse them, using this to divert their attention and reduce the pressure. Xiao Shichen considered this possibility. So even as Shattering Wind and Demon Talent pressed forward, they weren't just looking for Lord Grimm, they maintained their attacks toward Happy's players. Happy didn't reduce the pressure, and in fact because of Lord Grimm's disappearance, they had to work even harder under the conditions of a 4v5. Show yourself. Xiao Shichen thought to himself. Yishu couldn't play like this all the way until the end. 2 o'clock. Quote. In the Thunderclap chat, Dai Yankee suddenly called out. As she spoke, she prepared to fire a spell in that direction. Don't split your attention, leave it to me. Xiao Shichen immediately shouted. He was scared of this scenario exactly. If everyone switched their attention to target Yishu's Lord Grimm, then wouldn't this situation, which they had established with such difficulty, be broken? Seeing Dai Yankee's Firebird Messenger already turning her head and about to cast in that direction, Xiao Shichen truly applauded Yishu. It was just a small trick, but it caused a great disruption to Thunderclap's strategy. Yishu truly understood the player's logic and reactions too well. At a time like this, anyone who suddenly discovered Lord Grimm's whereabouts would instantly try an attack, and with that, Thunderclap's strategic rhythm would be disrupted. But it's a shame, Yishu's opponent is Xiao Shichen. Quote. After seeing Xiao Shichen's direction in the team chat, Li Yibo spoke with a smile. With an omniscient view, they of course saw Lord Grimm's actions more clearly than Xiao Shichen could. Li Yibo reached the same conclusion as Xiao Shichen, but seeing that Xiao Shichen saw through it entirely and was prepared against it, Li Yibo didn't feel like going to praise Yi Zhu. Yeah, Pan Lin agreed, his heart beginning to waver. It looked like Happy was really struggling in this match. Should he begin to sing praises for Thunderclap? As Pan Lin wondered, the situation on stage changed again. The exposed Lord Grimm suddenly began to move. Dai Yanqi's attack toward him had been stopped by Xiao Shichen, but he still continued to charge toward Dai Yanqi. "Don't panic, it's Mechanical Seeker," Xiao Shichen called. "Ha, seen through again." Li Yibo laughed. A Mechanical Seeker and a character are very different in size, and so they move a little differently. Perhaps a lot of people wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but Xiao Shichen is an expert mechanic. The little trick once again failed to come to fruition. Yi Zhu seemed rather helpless, and Lord Grimm finally charged out, this time toward Zhang Jiaxing's returning wind, attacking from behind to try and save your allies. Xiao Shichen smiled. He'd already thought of this possibility long ago. Fang Zuke's assassin demon talent twisted and used a Xing cut in the direction of Lord Grimm's movement. If this kind of thing didn't happen, no one would notice, but as soon as it happened, everyone suddenly realized that Thunderclap's players, in maintain their non-stop offensive, were coordinating with each other extremely well. The tactics of this team proceed as precise and orderly as the gears of a machine. Zhang Jiaxing wouldn't just sit around doing nothing. When he saw Lord Grimm coming toward him, he cast a sacred fire, hidden in the grass. Would it hit? Zhang Jiaxing didn't know. He was too familiar with this opponent in front of him and knew just how scary he was. A little trick like this wouldn't be much use, would it? This thought hadn't even finished crossing his mind when, at the position of his sacred fire, a blindingly white fire blazed to life. It hit. Fang Zukai was delighted at this development, and of course he wouldn't let this skill-stealing opportunity slip away. Demon talent used swift run and swift movements, prepared to instantly kill with a heart-piercing stab. This is... Fang Zukai stopped. A green-skinned goblin waved a club as it came toward him. From its excited state, he could tell that it must have eaten an attack, otherwise how could it run so quickly? This was a trap. It's a goblin. Fang Zukai hurriedly sent a message. This lowest-level little summon was of course nothing to him, and he quickly took care of it. A goblin. Xiao Shichen jolted. This wasn't an attack from the rear to save the allies, this was making a sound in the east and striking in the west. Just as he reached this realization, Xiao Shichen watched as the grass began to rustle once again. This time, Yi Zhu no longer bothered to hide Lord Grimm's body, because now there was no one nearby to stop him. Slide kick, charged, colliding stab, Xing cut. Lord Grimm chained all of these low-level quick movement skills from various classes. Relying on the effects of all of these skills used consecutively, Lord Grimm's speed at that moment couldn't be bested by even an assassin, let alone any of the slower classes. Cheng Tai's shattering wind wasn't fast enough to block him, and in an instant, Lord Grimm was in front of his target. Captain Xiao, having fun? Lord Grimm made his move. Dragon Tooth. As soon as he knew about the goblin, Xiao Shichen instantly realized that he himself was Yi Zhu's true target, and he was already defending himself. But Lord Grimm arrived too quickly, so quickly that Xiao Shichen was feeling regret. Lord Grimm could use skills to achieve this kind of movement speed. They really shouldn't have been tricked by that goblin. Roll. Life Extinguisher rolled to the side, dodging the dragon tooth. He swung his mechanical box to the side and a magnetic field coil was thrown onto the ground. Boom. The magnetic field coil hadn't had time to release its magnetic energy when Lord Grimm's spear pierced it, directly disrupting it. The spear jumped and again flashed in front of Life Extinguisher. In the end, Yishu was most familiar with handling a spear. All those years controlling the battle mage One Autumn Leaf hadn't gone to waste. Seo Shichen could only have Life Extinguisher dodge again, but Lord Grimm wasn't some ordinary battle mage. If the spear's range wasn't enough, the Myriad Manifestation's umbrella shifted to gun form, and anti-tank missile was launched. Boom boom boom. The flames of the explosion swallowed Life Extinguisher whole, but at this moment Seo Shichen still sent a message in the chat. "Leave me, maintain the rhythm." The Thunderclap players who had been prepared to rescue him suddenly stopped, but they understood their captain's intentions. Yishu's powerful offensive towards Seo Shichen was his attempt at breaking the current situation. If the Thunderclap players broke formation to save their captain, Happy would be free of their current difficult situation, and might even be able to launch a counter-attack. This could be considered a variation of Box 1 tactics, and Thunderclap's players, with their high tactical background, instantly understood. "Maintain the rhythm, respond as appropriate," said another Thunderclap player. It was Fang Zukai, a longtime teammate of Seo Shichen's in Thunderclap, the vice-captain of Thunderclap. He knew that Seo Shichen didn't have much space to give commands, so he supplemented the strategic plan. They couldn't gather the strength of the entire team to force a rescue, but they couldn't not rescue him. Maintain the rhythm, respond as appropriate. A playstyle like that was to incorporate Lord Grimm and Life Extinguisher into the rhythm of the battle as a whole. It was the logical way of breaking Box 1 tactics. But to Thunderclap, Seo Shichen was more than just a battle core. He was the commander. This battle against Happy in particular required many directions from him, constantly adjusting their tactics and attack rhythm to target Happy's weak point, Unwenyi. But at this moment, under Yishu's offensive roaring down upon him, an offensive that could instantly defeat countless formidable players. How about it? Still have time to type any words. Yishu, shockingly, could still find the space to ask this question. The crowd was silent. No one knew how to express their current emotions. WushOurWorldAudio.com. Seo Shichen. This was retribution, wasn't it? Against Blue Rain, he had bullied Yu Wenzu. Yu Wenzu's hand speed was too slow to keep up with a rapidly changing battle, so Seo Shichen purposely directed his team so there were many changes and ultimately defeated Blue Rain. And now, Yishu, this glory textbook was teaching a lesson to the helplessly sighing Blue Rain. Was there really no way of dealing with Seo Shichen's harassment? Of course there was, and it was simple. Tooth for tooth, use their own strategy against them. If he wanted to harass with a complex and changing battle style, Seo Shichen also need to rely on a large number of commands. His hand speed wasn't a problem, but when faced with this explosion of attacks roaring down upon him, your life or your commands? Yishu's question was the dilemma with which Seo Shichen was currently struggling. Thunderclap's players quickly realized as well. Without Seo Shichen's commands, the amount of damage they were dealing was quickly slipping, and it seemed like Happy's weak point and Wenyi could endure this level. After all, he had walked with Happy through the Challenger League and played half a season with him on the main roster. He didn't neglect his daily training, either. Perhaps his talent was limited, but after a year and a half of growth, he was far from mediocre. Thunderclap's strategy broken. The live crowd finally reacted with applause and cheers. And once and when Yi was able to stabilize the situation, Happy's counterattack finally arrived. With regards to player quality, many people had already realized prior to this match that Happy was superior to Thunderclap. "We have to save Captain Dai," Yankee said in the chat. The others were also debating, but they also wanted to wait for Seo Shichin's direction. Save could be typed out. While he was tangled with Yishu, Seo Shichin still occasionally had the space to issue a direction. His life or his commands. This was the dilemma Seo Shichin faced. To save or not to save? This was the choice Thunderclap had to make. But Yishu seemed like he knew that Thunderclap was facing this difficult decision. Lord Grimm's attacks grew even more ferocious, so much so that people felt that the slightest slip could send Life Extinguisher straight to death. Was it so bad that he couldn't even type a single word? The blood of the Thunderclap players went cold. "Die, help him." Quote, "At last, Fang Zukai couldn't resist any longer, directing Dai Yankee to give some support, or at least make an opening so that Seo Shichin could give a command. Just pointing them in the right direction would be enough." Understood. Dai Yankee's Firebird messenger turned around. The crowd saw all of this. Seo Shichin was suppressed. Dai Yankee went to help him. This was a strategy often used by powerhouse teams with top-tier players during team competitions. Star 1v2. This Yishu. When the other side had stars, he played tactics with them. When the other side played tactics, he played as a star. End chapter.